And it's just like I I don't know how to explain it any other way. Like I was very isolated for a very long time.
Yeah.
I was very alone. I didn't have friends. I didn't have family. Like even when my daughter was born, my daughter was born when I was 20 years old,
Mhm.
and I was 21 years old when my daughter was born. My family didn't see her until she was almost a year old. My ex's family didn't see her until she was almost 6 months old. My daughter had died during childbirth, and they brought
Yeah.
her back. They did an
I didn't know
emergency
that. That's
C-section. She
wild.
I didn't
flatlined.
know that either.
Yeah, she flatlined a bunch of times, and they were like, "It's okay, it's okay." And then she flatlined like one time, and it was like really long. And
That's rough.
they basically
Yeah.
just grabbed my ex
You
in the
never told me
fucking
this.
in the stretcher. I didn't tell anybody about it. They grabbed my ex in the stretcher. They grabbed her arm and then basically scribbled her signature on a piece of paper, and they took her away. And I had no idea what was happening. And all I know is that on the alarm that my daughter was dead.
Mhm.
And because like you could hear it, boop 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 boop, bing. You know what I mean? Like they had the heart monitor, and then it would always kick back up, and then it didn't kick back up, and then they came and they took her, and I
Crazy.
slapped the oxygen mask on her, and they wheeled her out, and they grabbed me after like 20 minutes
This
of
shit's
me
hurting
freaking
me,
out and
man.
crying. I was freaking out. I was
I would
crying. I
be
had no
too, bro.
family. I had no family. I had
Your
no friends. Her
fucking
family wasn't there. Her friends
your
weren't there.
daughter is
Nobody.
basically dead.
My daughter's dead. All I know is that my daughter's dead, and they just wheeled my to be wife at the time. She's not my wife now, but to be wife at the time. They wheeled
Right.
her away, and I'm asking the nurse. I'm fucking crying. I'm
You're
freaking
gonna
out. I'm
make
trying to
me
call
cry.
I'm trying to call my mom. No one's answering the fucking phone. I have no family. I have nobody. I'm alone. I'm fucking scared. I'm 20 years old. I'm a kid,
Uh-huh.
and I'm terrified. And no one is there for me except for myself.
Rich, I'll be there in a half hour. I need to come give you a hug.
Dude, I need a
And
hug after hearing this story.
the nurse grabs me and they bring her in there like you need to like hold her because she's really scared, right? So
Yeah.
I go in and I hold her hand and they got her intestines on the fucking table and they take my daughter out and I remember they said she's floppy, right? That's what they said. That's what the doctor said. She's floppy. I looked and they took her out and she was just completely limp. She was nothing. She wasn't crying. She wasn't making noise. She wasn't moving. She was nothing. Her arms and her legs had no control. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the nurse jumped in front of me and was like, "Oh, you can't look at that." I'm like, "Well, what the fuck do you want me to do?" And then they put her
Yeah.
on the table, and then after like 6 or 7 minutes of like chest compressions, and they did a bunch of shit, she cried, and they were like, "Yeah, she's been dead for like 15 minutes." And
Holy
the doctor just,
fuck.
yeah, she was dead
15
for like,
minutes?
yeah, she was dead for like 15 minutes,
That's
My
and
God.
the doctor brought her back, and
Crazy, dude.
I started crying, and I mean, like snot bubbles, and I was
Dude, I'm
fucking
gonna
freaking
cry.
out.
That
Yeah,
warms my
like
heart.
snot bubbles, and I'm freaking out.
I mean, any grown man who cares about their
No, but
child
children
would
in
Any
fucking
general.
human
cry.
being, like if
Any
you
no,
care
yeah.
about your
Yeah,
fucking
like
offspring to some fucking
exactly.
degree,
You
you're gonna
would
care.
fucking ball out like a I hate fucking this
Oh,
baby.
dude,
Dude,
I was bawling, crying, I was freaking out,
dude, I wanna
and
cry
Yeah.
now.
I remember like she looked at me, and like babies can't see you when they're newborns, right? Like they don't see you
Yeah,
for
yeah.
like 2 weeks or something like that. And but like she looked at me, and I like to think that I was the first thing that she actually saw because she like looked me right dead in the eye, and she was crying, and like when I held her, I had no shirt on, I held her, and
Typical rich.
yeah,
No
you know what I
shirt.
mean? Well, no, because like they say like a skin to skin thing, and because of like the circumstance, they said that she had gone through trauma and things like that, and that she
Yeah.
might be like a little fucked up or whatever. And she looked at me and she just had like dark eyes, just like black eyes. And I was like, what the fuck? And they kept us in the hospital for like a week, and I didn't sleep the entire week. I didn't have like a bed or anything like that. I just sat on a fucking bench, and no family, nobody. I had absolutely nobody.
I remember that.
Through the
I do
entire
too.
time, I had absolutely no one. My daughter had died, came back to life, and the whole week that I was in the hospital, the reason they made us stay that long is because she had meconium is called. So what meconium is it's the first shit that a baby's supposed to take. If you go past due date term, they can take the shit inside of the womb, and they basically end up swallowing it. because
Yeah.
they're just eating nutrients that's
Yeah,
inside
I
the womb. So
remember
my
them telling
daughter,
me about that.
yeah,
During the birth too is a big point.
it's a
that
big thing.
If it's a prolonged labor,
Exactly. Well, so
as
she
well.
had gone past like 2 weeks past their due date, so they induced her.
Yeah.
So the baby took her first shit inside of the womb, and she had swallowed all of the meconium. So she swallowed her first shit basically. And what ended up happening was they kept us in the hospital for like a week, and all I had was a fucking bench by a window. I had a bench by a window. I didn't even have a smartphone. All I had was like a really
There were
weird
no
DVD
smartphones
player.
back then.
I had nothing, and I was
Like a
poor.
CD player or some shit.
I had a weird DVD player, and I had like 3 old school James Bond DVDs from the
Uh-huh.
60s. I had like Goldfinger and like you know what I mean? Like that was it. And I just watched the same like 3 James Bond CDs because what ended up happening was my daughter kept choking and she couldn't breathe. She was choking on the meconium that she was spitting up and she couldn't get it
Yeah.
out. So I didn't sleep because you'd have to go in with one finger and hook the shit out of her
Mhm.
fucking throat. Because like she's a newborn baby, she's a day old, she's not coughing.
Grubs.
Next thing you know, she just doesn't
It's tearing
fucking
me up, man.
dude. Next thing you know, she just
Tearing
doesn't
me up.
breathe. She just doesn't fucking breathe. And so you had to
Oh
go in
yeah,
with a
we're
hook
still
and you had to
alive.
fucking scoop the shit out of
Hell's
her
fine.
fucking gut. And
I mean, Rich,
so look. To sum it up, let me sum it up because I'm fucking ranting here.
oh yeah, no, definitely. I
had
gotta
no.
cut you off. to
Listen to
be
me. Yeah, I know. You gotta cut me off. I'm drunk. I'm emotional. I had nobody. All right. I didn't have a single fucking person. Even my ex's family didn't come to the hospital. You know what they did? They said, "We're gonna stay at your house. We're gonna help you. All right. We're gonna cook you some dinners. Blah blah blah." Right? You know what they fucking did?
Awesome.
honest.
Check this out. They made us meatloaf. Okay.
Hmm.
With our own food,
Mm.
and then ate half of it.
I don't love
Okay.
that.
So think about that. All right. I wasn't a single father,
No.
but a single
But-
income. Listen, I was a single income, a legal immigrant in another country with a child that I had to care for, with no paperwork, no nothing. My family was not there. Her family was not there. Friends were not there. The only people that were there for me, PDHM.
love
And
it,
I know
bro.
it sounds crazy. I know it's a big circle for me to come back around, but that's just one example that you guys were there for me when there was no one else in my corner.
I mean, Richard, I was always there to cheer you up, dude.
I know.
Whenever you were having a
We were all
bad day
there
with
for
your
you, man.
girl,
You know,
or
and it's
your, or
like-
your ex,
We've all been through shit
was-
and gotten through
I was
it.
Oh,
always
dude, it
there
was
for you,
crazy, man. She would beat the fuck out of me. She broke my nose a bunch of times. She, you know,
I
she
was
was
always
she
there for
fucked
That's
you.
why
like
you look the way
7.
you do now?
I stopped fucking her after I got her pregnant, and then she fucked like 7 or 8 other dudes. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care because we slept in separate rooms and separate beds, and then like, I was basically just going home, giving her my paycheck,
Yep.
hanging out with my daughter or whatever. And, you know, like I wasn't the best dad in the world. I wasn't perfect. I was a kid. Can you imagine being 22 years old with a fucking child,
The kid's probably fucked.
not
now,
knowing what the fuck
stuck
to
with
do,
her.
no parents, no nobody, no one telling you, hey, you should fucking spend more time with your kid.
Yeah.
I did the best that I could do. I wasn't
Yeah.
great, but I did the best that I could do. And
You took your kid, fucking Heather, you fucking bitch.
yeah, you know, like, and
kid's
Isabella
fucked.
is like 6.5 now. She's fucking brilliant.
I bet.
She's just like me. She looks just like me. You know, like I talked to her like 3 weeks ago on the phone, right? Because we
Really?
FaceTime. Yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
FaceTime all the time.
That's awesome.
But like the last time we FaceTime because her mother is weird. The last time we FaceTime was like 3 weeks ago, and she's telling me that she has a hard time. So her full name is Isabella Sofia Rivera, right? She has a hard time spelling her middle and her last name, right? So you know what she told me? She goes, "Daddy, I wrote my full name on my shoes." Okay. And I was like, "Why did you do that?" She goes, "I wrote my full name on my shoes so that in school, when I have to write my name on papers, I can look at my shoes and I know how to spell it."
That's
And
funny.
she goes, "Daddy, the teacher caught me and she took my shoes."
Uh,
And I asked her, I was
That's
like,
definitely
"Well,"
your child.
I call her Isabelli, right? And I go, "Isabelli, what did you do?" And she goes, "I wrote my name on the shoes again." I was like, "Yeah, man, that's fucking right, baby." You know what I mean? Because like, it's the same thing like me, right? I never understood the right way to do a math problem I figured out my own way to do the math problem, and I came to the same answer. There's a level of intelligence in that. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of intelligence.
Yeah.
PDHM has always been there for me. The people have always been there for me. These people, all of you
I
that I've
will,
known all
even
these times,
even
have
though I
always been
fucked
there
off
for
for
me.
a bit, Richard, I will always be here for you and
I
for
know that.
PDHM.
Likewise.
I
yeah.
know that. You know, and it's like, I it's you know, without being fucking an emotional drunk on a fucking Thursday night, Friday morning, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Friday morning.
You know, it's difficult when you have no one in your corner. You know what I mean? And it's like, I am now at 28 years old, back in America for 3 years, making, 90 grand a year with no school.
Yep.
Yeah, like I never told anyone. I told Delana that, my current fiance.
Well, I'm glad
And,
you feel comfortable enough with
I like
us
it.
to
Yeah.
share it.
Like I never told anybody. Like I'm very like it's like weird, like nervous for me to even tell you guys that because like I've never told anyone that before because like people judge you automatically. But I left before I
Yeah,
finished high
no.
school.
Fuck
Fuck
what
that.
people think, dude.
Fuck.
And
On
it's
a
like
side note,
Whatever.
You don't have a
I
diploma?
just dropped 102
Whatever.
kilos on shipment.
I like that. Like I
These guys are.
Were you
raping-
even paying
hold on,
attention,
hold,
Zach?
hold,
What
hold
the
on. He was
fuck,
paying
man?
attention. Hold on, let me say this.
Yeah.
You're
I
dropping heart wrenching shit right there.
I
Yeah, for
in the
real.
3 years
For
in the
real.
3 years that I've been back in America, in Canada, I went from hanging drywall and laying floor and framing additions and building houses, like framing houses as like a foreman. I went to a project manager, right, making fucking 90 grand a year. I just built a 39 unit apartment building, 2 4-family buildings, a
What was
35
near
unit apartment
Helix,
building.
by the
Yep.
way.
All that were near Helix. They're all near there. A 35 unit apartment building. I'm currently building a 56 unit apartment building. And I'm looking at doing another 49 unit apartment building literally on the same street as Helix.
So when are you
Burn-
building an apartment for me and Eddie?
When you can afford one, you broke bitch. Buy out your own goddamn contract.